alcohol bans for the summer solstice concert and the 660 concert application. So, and that's all our externals, and then we'll go back into our business. So, very warm welcome. Keelan is going to come and present on behalf of the Youth Council. Welcome, Keelan. Can I just say that I am incredibly proud of this 2020 Youth Council. They work tirelessly looking after youth through COVID. They are an amazing group. They've met me once a month in the Mayor's office, and they really, really are connected to our community. They have, for the first time ever, been representatives on council standing committees, and one of the few in New Zealand. And they, as you all know, and all of the councillors realise their contribution that they have made being on those committees. I thank Councillor Sholom too for your input this year as the councillor has worked with the Youth Council. I'm just really proud of you guys and what you've achieved. You're outstanding young leaders for today and the future, and look forward to hearing from your report from you. Thank you.
Awesome. So that's the, oh, there we go, perfect. Now you can actually hear me. So we started the year off with a big planning session. So that was where we developed our annual plan. And so this was before COVID-19 came in, and so we had quite aspirational plans for what events we wanted to hold, that sort of thing. And so we penciled in these in our calendar, came up with our values, our vision, and what we wanted to achieve that year. And then probably a couple of weeks after, actually, we went into lockdown. And so what that meant is a lot of our events couldn't actually go ahead, and so we had to start crossing things off the list. But through Zoom, we were able to keep meeting and keep having discussions together about what we could do, despite the restrictions, meaning we couldn't actually meet in person. So that was really helpful. And also, I think for a lot of us, it was quite good to have a group of people where we could jump on Zoom and just have a chat and just have some social interaction for half an hour, for an hour during lockdown with like-minded people. So I think that was really good to keep meeting throughout then. And so something we came up with, which you might have seen on Facebook, was our lockdown videos. So we did a couple. We did one talking about the alert level 3 restrictions, alert level 4 restrictions, and then we also did a fun one where it was sort of like things we're doing during lockdown to sort of pass the time, recommendations for what people could do. And I think we're showing that one at the end, so you get to have a look. And so that was all done remotely. People just sent in their videos, we chucked it together and did that. So that was a really cool way to keep working on things and to keep getting the message out there about COVID-19 and staying safe. The biggest sort of thing, and Sandra mentioned this earlier about this year that we've been able to achieve, is getting seats on the subcommittees. And I cannot emphasise how fantastic that is and what a privilege it is to be able to do that, because I think it's really, really important that we have that voice in there, and there's no better way to do it than for us to actually have a seat at the table. So just want to thank all of the councillors who voted for it, and for Sandra and everyone for working on this initiative, because I think it's really important that we have that voice. And I think based on what I've seen, it's not many other councils do that, so hopefully it paves the way for that sort of thing going forward. So it's real good. And that's the thing, is that we also discussed at the beginning of the year, we wanted to be a youth council for advocacy and for talking about council issues, having inputs and opinions on council projects, and working on that sort of level, as opposed to being a sort of more events-based youth council, which is what other councils have been in the past, which is not a bad thing, but that was just the group of people that we had this year and the sort of direction that we wanted to take. So that was sort of the focus. And so as part of that, we got to submit and have discussions with people working on the Waiaroha project. So we got a presentation, we were able to have discussions, make submissions, so that was fantastic. We also got to talk about the Karanga Gardens changes, which they're working on at the moment. And so just those sort of things is what we really like having. And so definitely for next year, we want more of that, more of your projects and ideas to come to us if you want feedback. You know, that's the sort of discussions we want to be having, because that's where we can make a real difference. So that was awesome this year. We've also got social media pages. So they weren't too active, but we were keeping you know, regular posts about the election, information about that, who the candidates were, where you can vote, where you can get information of how to register, all important stuff for young people, try and get them engaged. And we also did run a competition. So Youth Week fell during lockdown, And so normally we'd have events, we'd have like a amazing race and a bunch of other events in person in town. Obviously couldn't do that, and so we just ran like a TikTok competition where people submitted TikToks. We sent out a few prizes. So that didn't have quite the uptake we were hoping for, but we still had that there. Like Sandra said, we also got to have mentor sessions with her, which was a fantastic opportunity to sort of have discussions about basically everything, really, from cannabis to gangs to young people, education, everything. It was fantastic. So we really appreciated her putting aside that time to talk to us, to mentor us, and for us to have those discussions and experience her fantastic office as well. So that was really cool. Some of the big things we couldn't do, something that you would have heard me talk about before, was the political debate. So unfortunately that couldn't go ahead. Although because we all have cameras in our pockets and the internet, we were able to get some of the candidates to send in a short clip, about 2 minutes each, of them talking about what they were able to offer for young people. And so that was slammed together and put on the Karamu High School Facebook page for the Year 13s to access. So hopefully, again, another idea that youth councillors in 3 years' time can pick up on, and hopefully that can, we can get traction on an in-person debate next time. So that'd be something to look forward to. And the speech wouldn't be complete without a bunch of thank yous. So the biggest thank you goes to Pip and Denise, because they've basically been the cogs in the machine of the Youth Council, making sure everything's organised. We've got quorums, we've got things organised, we've got things to talk about and discuss. So I think those guys deserve a round of applause for that. So. Also, massive thank you. Massive thank you to Wendy for her support, her wisdom, and obviously the banter that we have in the meetings with her as well. It's been really good having you on board, having that person to ask questions to talk to and tell us what you've been up to, so that's been really awesome. And also, Sophie's not here, she's our chairperson. She did a fantastic job this year coordinating everything, especially during lockdown and getting the information out from Pip and Denise. So if she was here, we could do a round of applause. But yeah, so thank you to her as well. And thank you to all of you for supporting us, letting us do the things we want to do, listening to us, having us in on your meetings. And, this has been a fantastic year despite COVID-19. And so I'm really excited about what we can achieve going forward. So, thank you.
Kia ora, Canada. Short video, okay.
Didn't start off quite as well, so we got into lockdown, but the youth council,
I'm Keelan, I'm a Hastings youth councillor and I'm from Karamu High School.
Moriora, I'm Ramona and I'm also a Hastings youth councillor and I go to Karamu High as well. This year didn't start off quite as well, so we got into lockdown, but the youth council, we tried to motivate everyone by creating videos and competitions and little kind of skits to try and motivate everyone while they were in lockdown.
Yeah, and so moving on from the lockdown vids we did, the Hastings Council is working on a new water project called Waiaroha, and so the Youth Council had a presentation about the project, what they're sort of wanting to do with it, because they're wanting to incorporate an educational facility, and so they sort of had a conversation with us. We had an opportunity to share our ideas, what we wanted to see in it, so that was a really cool opportunity to really get some input into council projects.
Yeah, so recently you would have seen about the Youth Potential Awards. We were also present there. There were a couple of youth councillor speakers and we basically got to go there and celebrate all those youth that are in those tiresome times and are really pushing through. So that was an awesome highlight of our year.
Another thing we're really proud of is that we've actually managed to get seats at some of the Hastings Council subcommittees. So those are the District Development Committees, the Eco District Committee and the Greater Communities Committee. So we can actually sit at the table and have our youth voice and have some input on actual policy and actual council policy and goings on. So that's really exciting.
And another event that we attended was the Rainbow event at the Hastings District Library. So that's where we had a couple of awesome ladies come in and show us how to kind of embrace being fabulous and try to get support for the LGBT plus community. So that was an awesome event for us as well.
Another thing we did was we had a combined meeting with the Napier Youth Council over at the aquarium, and so there we had a presentation from the Regional Council and we discussed about the climate camp which they're wanting to organise. So we had some brainstorming sessions and it was just a really good opportunity to catch up with the Napier Youth Council and see what they're up to.
We also organised a debate.
Yeah, we were organising a political debate with the candidates, which is going to be designed for youth. So we're going to get the candidates up there on a stage talking about the issues that matter to you. But unfortunately, with COVID restrictions, we had to cancel that. But what we're currently working on is a video where we're getting all the candidates to send a little clip of themselves talking about what they can offer for young people. We're going to shove that together and send it as a resource to school so you can learn about who you're actually voting for in this election.
Yeah, and that's what we've been up to this year. We've still got quite a few events to go, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and if you have any feedback, any ideas, literally anything, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or there's an email address somewhere on the Hastings Council website. Cheers, guys.
And through you, your worship, so that video was done for the CE's weekly update so that our staff could get a better understanding of what the Youth Council did. The next video is just a couple of short clips on some of the videos they did through lockdown.
Stuck for ideas on what to do? Here's some isolation inspiration from the Hastings Youth Council.
You could write your own songs or compose your own music.
Grab someone in your bubble and try some partner yoga.
Or you could try making a costume for your cat.
This helps me in my quarantine.
You can try making cookies. You can try spending some quality time with your kids.
Or you can learn a new skill, like chess.
Checkmate!
Not again.
Or you can make a TikTok with your siblings.
You can dream of the summertime. Safety first.
This is what I'm doing in my quarantine. Hey, Betsy. Or you can try doing a face mask.
You could try learn a new skill.
Or you could try learning that old ukulele you have lying around. Boy, try learn to sing.
Or you could even spend some time reorganising your clothes. Alternatively, you can catch up on schoolwork.
You could ring an older person.
Oh, how amazing. Let's give them a round of applause. Thanks team, thanks Keelan for the wonderful presentation. Thanks to all the Youth Council for coming here. It's lovely to share lunch with you today. And we wish you all the best for, those of you who are returning next year, those of you who still got exams to do, and we look forward to following your progress and your journey for your life. We're really proud that we've had such an amazing year with you, and just excited to see where you get to, how you develop, and some of you, I'll see you back here in 2021. So all the very best, have a nice break, not too much hard work, Lois, climbing apple trees, the thinning or anything, and all the very best, and lovely to see you all, and have a great Christmas and a great break. Anyone got any questions, councillors? Anyone? Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you very much. And to the rest of you. How many of your youth council are going to be back to join us next year?
Five.
Thank you.
All right, well, all very best. Lovely to see you. Go well and enjoy a nice break. See you 2020. Stay safe.
Thank you.
See you. Now I would like to welcome Arts and Tonga. Oh, move it for that report. Moved by Councillor Nixon, second by Councillor Watkins. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Welcome to Arts and Tonga. Lovely to have you here today. Andy and Peach and all the team up the back. Megan. And for the first time, the Arts Festival will return to Toi Toi. So look forward to hearing from you. We've read your report. If there's anything you'd like to add to your report, very happy to for you to add, and then we'll take any questions. Thank you.
Report from Board of Arts Inc. and our friends over at Toi Toi and other artists that have snuck into the room. So we start with a short video. So I'd just like to make this a bit interactive. A quick show of hands from the chamber. How many of you came to an arts festival show? Ah, nice. But a few more to work on for next year. So, changing the cultural landscape of Hastings and Hawke's Bay since 2015. Out of this year's challenges, and boy was it a challenge, the 6th annual Harcourt's Hawke's Bay Arts Festival emerged, allowing our community to come together for 2 weeks of unbridled celebration. The kaupapa for the festival this year was Tūtera Mai Ngā Iwi, encouraging all to stand Pakahiwi ke te Pakahiwi, shoulder to shoulder, and we did. With no international acts, the festival focused on the best of Aotearoa and Hawke's Bay. Celebrating our diversity, this festival was a unique reflection of this place and of this time. And what was incredibly encouraging was the performance and events were of a quality equal to or better than anything we've done before, including our international acts. There were so many highlights: a strong music programme, amazing theatre, dance, storytelling, and thanks to the Hawke's Bay readers and writers, an incredibly strong lineup of literary events. We were one of only 3 regional arts festivals staged this year. And this regional festival, the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival, was the biggest, the best, and the most artistically ambitious. We had over 111 performances. Who said this was a COVID year? This was crazy stuff. But we actually were able to celebrate with our 22,000 members of our community and visitors alike through the main programme, the education programme, our free programming, and the readers and writers. Our main venue this year is we partnered up with Toi Toi, Hawke's Bay Arts and Events Centre. 66% of our audience of our paying audience went through Toi Toi this year in 26 productions. It was just amazing to see night after night that space come alive, and the feedback we got was amazing, and we'd just like to thank our partners at Toi Toi for the warm welcome they gave us. I will say, we're a very loose organisation. We make stuff happen. We make stuff happen and have been for years and years and years. these guys, they make stuff happen, but we're from different cultures, so it was really great seeing what we could learn from each other, and it was an amazing forging of a partnership. So thank you, guys. Our other venues were located across Hastings District and Napier and region-wide. In total, 69 other performances were in the Hastings District, 17 in Napier, and 3 regional-wide. Our best-selling shows, no surprise really, Big Runga was our finale act, and followed by Tammy Nielsen, Thomas Oliver, Tutira Maina Iwi, Two Hearts, and Transfigured Night. Nice shot there of Vic. Does the festival attract people from outside the region? I mean, we do this festival for our community. That's where it was born from. It's about Hawke's Bay. It's about our stories. And we designed this primarily for our community, but on the basis that if you do a festival correctly, you will attract, as a byproduct, visitors from elsewhere. And this year, the visitors were double what we've been able to record previously. So nearly 10% of our tickets went to out-of-region purchases, which was a fantastic result. In region, quite interesting, Hastings accounted for 34% of our ticket sales, and the Hastings District 61%. There was very little in it over previous years in terms of a couple of percent here, a couple of percent there, in terms of where people were coming from to come to the festival. Napier went down slightly, but it's still at 26%. So, and in terms of the festival being largely centred on the Opera House, that meant people coming into town night after night after night. So, exciting stuff. Our programme content, the Kaupapa inspired by Tutira Maina Iwi, celebrated Hawke's Bay's unique regional identity and diversity, and it was woven through all our performances like Transfigured Night, Our Dreams Are Changing as the Day Draws In, Music Box, Colleges in Fifth, Tutira Maina Iwi. And you can see all of the Hawke's Bay luminaries that actually performed in those performances. A few pictures there. That's opening night. Thomas Oliver, and the amazing Colleges in Fifth by Sam Truebridge. To make the festival as accessible as possible, tickets were heavily subsidised with many free events, including a lot in Hastings CBD. I'll just summarise those. The audience in the CBD was about 7,000. Napier, including Nuit Blanche, was 3,800. And our schools programme, and this is outside of what we've recorded for the free, because we don't want to double dip, but we managed to provide free access to the festival to 2,200 students this year, which was very pleasing. Next slide. And this is Java Dance leading a Pied Piper performance through the streets of Hastings. If any of you experienced it, it was one of the festival joys, going into areas not normally seen by the general public. Audience feedback this year. Well, I've never had so much anecdotal feedback from audiences as this year. It was truly heartwarming that people were seeking myself and Peach out and other members of the team to say how amazing the programming was this year. They could see what we were doing in trying to attract different audiences, and it was really a culmination of the last 6 years' work in putting something together that would actually appeal to audiences across different ethnicities and backgrounds. And this year, and I have to celebrate Peach here, he nailed that programming this year, and it's fantastic. And it's, following our survey, 95% of the audience rated their experience as excellent or very good. Our Festivals to Schools programme did see a downturn this year because of the COVID impact, but we did manage to get to 22 performances and 3,500 students. And this is a beautiful little performance we took into schools, and they loved it. Our ambassador programme. The Fernware Ambassador Programme enrolled 25 students this year, which is probably the largest we've had. And the role of that is to gain understanding of the performing arts industry for those that might want to take it further. They collaborated with Toy Toy creative leaders, professional mentoring, they had workshops with artists, access to performances, and produced their own performance, Threads of Touch, on the Opera House stage, which was truly amazing. And you can see the audience and the cast there. It's a fantastic show. So our festival support, we have 58 funders in total, through core funder, yourselves, government funding, major sponsors, corporate sponsors, grant providers, patrons and donors. Our festival team is made up of 4 part-timers, and the rest are contracted in as and when we need them, and an 8-member board. 37 volunteers gave 320 hours this year. So our financial outcomes, the festival cost about $760,000 to stage this year, and at the moment we're still getting the final few bits and bobs in, but we're projecting to break even or be slightly better than that. So for every dollar of the $120,000 core funding received from the Hastings District Council, we managed to leverage an extra $5.33. We wanted to do a little kind of impact survey. We don't have the multipliers and all that kind of stuff available to us, but we do know what we spend locally. And spending to local businesses, spending to on our local performers, and payroll and contracted staff equated to over $500,000 this year. And if you take the 760 visitors to the region, if they just stayed one night in the region, then you're talking about an extra $300,000 on top of that. For a very brief synopsis on an economic summary. Our festival hospitality. The original plan was to set up a pop-up festival, garden and venue in Albert Square. That was shelved because of COVID-19, and also because we felt that the local businesses could be encouraged to capitalise on the extra footfall that the festival would generate over the 2 weeks. So the hospitality venues were well promoted within the HBAF website. Musicians were engaged to perform in the Pocket Park behind Fun Buns and Albert Square. There's quite a bit of investment in time and money from us to support the local hospitality, and I have to say with differing levels of enthusiasm on their responses, sadly. Some of them were very enthusiastic, so good on them. There is limited food opportunities in terms of Toy Toy for obvious reasons, and the festival audience on their feedback did comment on missing the festival hospitality. So challenges moving forward. Obviously the global, not moving forward, challenges this year that we overcame was the global pandemic and actually just working through it and just saying, we're not going to give up until somebody taps us on the shoulder and says, you can't do this. So we didn't. So we pulled it off. Moving the heart of the festival to Toy Toy in Hastings, we really didn't know whether the audiences would come with us. They have, fantastic. Major customer services issue with our ticketing agency, Ticketek. I can't speak lowly enough about Ticketek, frankly. I couldn't think of the expression for that, but anyway. Lack of a pop-up venue, festival garden, and subsequent festival hospitality and vibe. Uncertainty re our income streams. Core funding did take a long time to secure for various reasons, and unsurprisingly, but everything follows on from that. So our sponsors came in late, and obviously their business has been affected. Patrons the same. Grants actually started to come through, so that was kind of counterintuitive. And ticket sales, well, they were all over the place, frankly. The buying trends were totally different to anything we've ever experienced. So it kind of kept us on edge for quite a while. So to break even this year was quite a feat, and we managed our expenses well and have come out okay. Obviously, with no international performances, and schools were reluctant to commit to the education programme because of what they'd missed out on through the year. So looking forward over the next 5 years, we want to build on the success and establish our festival, the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival, as the top regional arts festival in New Zealand, and we have every chance to do that. We've done it this year. Admittedly, it's an odd year, but we know we can do it. We know we can do it through expressing and building on our regional identity, through content, stories, and context, and that's what makes our regional festival unique from anybody else's. We want to raise the profile of the arts and artists both in Hawke's Bay and further afield. fostering youth development through our education ambassador programs. They've all gone, but we need to talk to those guys. Create education and career pathways through the creation of sustainable jobs within the festival and other arts in Karatonga initiatives. And provide opportunities for community learning through workshops, etc. Our focus for 2021 is programming the best of Aotearoa and Hawke's Bay again for our festival and telling our local stories. There may be opportunities for some international acts, but that's not looking likely, to be quite honest. We want to build the festival vibe at Toi Toi and in the Hastings CBD. We want to reintroduce the festival garden and hospitality. We want to develop the City Lights programme, secure a more effective, customer-friendly ticket buying experience, and secure commitment to our core funding for Arts Inc. and the festival prior to this year end, in principle, nothing else. So I think we should take great pride because we're all part of this. We're the instigators, but you all are the enablers and make it happen. And we should take great pride in what has been achieved. The festival represents a huge opportunity for our community and the visitors to the region to celebrate, flourish and grow. None of this is possible without Hastings District Council core funding support for the Community Arts Centre. That's the foundation for all the activities that Arts Inc. Heratonga undertakes, be it exhibitions, be it the Blossom Parade, be it the festival. And the separate core funding enables us to do the festival as well as a specific project from that foundation. This support, the regional arts leadership that Hastings District Council provide through Toitu and our successes to date gives our other supporters the confidence to back the festival. We know this year there's a tacit example of one of our supporters saying if council weren't in, we wouldn't be in. And it hit home to us quite overtly. And I've got some really good news in the fact that Creative New Zealand has doubled their investment in the 2021 festival to $150,000 from $75,000. That's based on the confidence they have in us as a district to produce a region-wide festival. In order to plan the next development of our festival in 2021, we are seeking to establish a long-term agreement with HDC for the Community Arts Centre, HBAF, Blossom and other arts programmes with the aim of commitment in principle prior to year end, if that's at all possible, please, please, please. So thank you. On behalf of our board, the arts and our community, many thanks to the mayor, councillors, executive and all the team who work so hard and support us now and into the future. So, those of you who didn't put their hand up earlier, I want to see you writing these dates in your diaries. 18th to the 31st of October 2021. God willing, the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival will return. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Peach. Thanks, Arts Inc. Heratonga. Thanks, the Opera House Toi Toi team. Absolutely incredible to think that the way you pulled that off, given all of the challenges that, you know, we've seen in your presentation. And it was, as I said earlier, a most memorable festival. And the Tūtena Mai Naiwi, I will never forget. It was a total highlight in my arts enjoying life. It was incredible. So, and it just depicted the people, who we are, what we stand for, and what's important to us. And that's what the festival did for us, coming out of a very challenging time. And can I thank you also for coming together for Miharo. We'll never forget that. We will never forget that, Mother's Day. And that was a Mother's Day, thank you, Ambassador, but a Mother's Day that was so needed. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, all your team. Thank you, guys. Because that's what makes us proud and that's what makes our people so special. And, you know, you deliver an amazing arts program for our district, so we're very grateful. Any questions, councillors? So in terms of the bottom slide about 2020, an option for getting funding renewal, How does that, what's the story with that? Is that something that we need to be considering? It's not in the recommendations. That's another day. Kev, you've got that in hand. Bruce, what's happening with that? It's all underway, is it?
Through your worship, so there is a sort of an overall events fund budget that council will need to work its way through and with the LTP as it does so in the new year.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thanks, team. Thanks for a wonderful presentation. Anyone got anything they'd like to, any questions, anything they'd like to add? No. Oh, sorry, Geraldine.
I'd like to endorse our Mayor's comments about Tūtera Maina Iwi. Can we have that as an annual part of the Arts Festival? It was fantastic.
Perhaps, yeah. I think Tūtera Maina Iwi was fantastic in that it really brought together, you know, our local waiata and local sentiment, really us here in Hawke's Bay. And it was a combination of celebrating our local waiata, our local talent, alongside the best in Aotearoa. We certainly thought it was a successful event, brought more community together than probably any other festival event in the past. In particular, a really large turnout with Maori and Pacifica community, and we had a lot of fantastic feedback. So yes, the plan will be something in that vein. Probably won't be exactly the same, but certainly something that we thought was successful. So thank you, Jill.
Thank you, team. Thank you. Lovely to see you. If I don't see you before, have a wonderful festive season yourselves and a very happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in to all of the trust. Thank you very much. I'd like to move the recommendations. So I have a seconder, please. Councillor Kerr, all those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Now we'll move on. We've got our Hawke's Bay Police here. Pardon? With Marla Bishop. And we're going to be managing those two temporary alcohol bans. Which page is it on?
Page 97, Your Worship.
And 103. Welcome. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Tony. Anything to add to your report?
Good afternoon, councillors. Firstly, I'd just like to introduce Senior Sergeant Carl Bowerfind and Marla Bishop, who's a licensing officer. So these reports, both reports deal with applications for temporary alcohol bans in relation to concerts. So I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillors, any questions on those alcohol bans? I'll take the first one. The summer solstice concert. Oh, sorry, Councillor Shodom.
Based on a little bit of personal experience and feedback we've received from police, I'm very happy to move the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Shodom. Councillor Kerr. You second it? Okay. Councillor Nixon. Jolly good. Councillor Kerr.
Just a question with regard to summer solstice. Is that the same area that when we have the races is a alcohol ban area?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first one, I've got a move and a second. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. And the second one, the 660 concert. Any questions on that? No questions? Have a mover, please. Councillor Lawson, Councillor Barber second. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much for coming along today and thank you for the work. Isn't it great? It was so successful. Awesome. Right, councillors, now the Hawke's Bay Airport Board, they can't be here this afternoon, so we they have rung in, so Bruce has just left the room, I think, hasn't he? So we'll come back to that one, and we will move on to the speed limit bylaw, and that is item number 1061. Welcome to Lockie. Page 61. This is the adoption of the speed limit bylaw amendments. 3 days of significant hearings, starting with Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Worship. I would be happy to move the recommendations. I also want to acknowledge the incredible amount of work that the staff put in, presenting to us in a very structured way all of the submissions. Just the way the 3 days flowed, I cannot speak more highly of the staff and the work that they did. It made it much easier. So happy to move the recommendations.
Thank you, and thank you for your significant effort. 3 days of chairing is a big ordeal, so well done to you. Councillor Redstone?
Thank you. I'm happy to support the recommendations. And second, I've just got a question, Lockie. The Mill Road electronic device that takes down to 70k, I'm still a little confused as to why that's going on Mill Road and not Richmond Road.
It is, through you, Jet, it's to do with the priority of the road. Mill Road currently has the priority and it's stopped on Richmond. So the way that those devices work is they slow the traffic on the priority route in case there's a vehicle coming from a side road.
I do understand that. I just wonder how it would stop the one at Richmond Road from coming straight through. So thank you.
That's another problem. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. No further comments. I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put those. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you very much, Lockie, and to the team and all the hard work. 77 roads. It was a major. Right, moving on to the adoption of Class 4 venue and TAB venue policies, page 69. Welcome, Junior. Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Worship. Again, I'd just like to congratulate staff on a huge workload, the presentation, and I'm very happy to move the recommendations.
Thank you very much, Councillor Watkins. Councillor Travis is seconder. Just one comment from me. Thank you to the team. This was a significant piece of work also, and I'm really pleased about the relocation policy that you came up with. It wasn't easy, but we listened to the community's submissions, and clearly what has shown us that with a sinking lid policy, despite having less machines, the revenue has gone up. So the sinking lid policy, as First Light told us, in the next 3 years is going to make actually no difference whether we had a fixed or sinking lid. So, but it was great to connect with the community, and what the committee and the council identified was the big challenge of online gambling, and that's why we've got that recommendation going to government on regulations for online gambling, because none of that money comes back to our community and it all goes overseas or elsewhere. And so, you know, that's the big challenge we have. So look forward to taking that up next year. So we have a mover and a seconder. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Yeah. Moving on to parking controls. Welcome, Mel. Page 111, item 15. Any questions on this agenda item, number 15, changes to parking? Oh, you have got a bit of a PowerPoint, have you?
Just through you, Your Worship, you just wanted that clarified.
Oh, yes, I did.
That's the site, and you can see it sits on a private property as opposed to in the road corridor.
Right.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so that's the Omahu Coffee Shop. I did ask a question around that. And that's the answer to that, sitting on road reserve, not on the road. Councillor Corbyn.
I have a question on the parking limit in Charles Street, P30. I go for an appointment in that building, but the appointment lasts 1 hour, 60 minutes. So really, parking 30 doesn't satisfy the needs of the people going in to have an appointment. And I'm just wondering whether it's possible to increase P30 to P60.
The P30 came from Griselda, the owner of the business. She asked for it, the parking to be increased. I keep it at P30, so I'm only doing what.
So it's come from the business, yeah. Councillor Corbyn.
Yep. Yeah, because I actually did talk to her about that, about increasing it.
There are two businesses operating in there, the chiropractor and the acupuncturist. And the acupuncturist appointment is 60 minutes, whereas the chiropractor may be 30.
So, Mel, can I just ask, were both businesses consulted?
Miss Griselda, she was the one who put it forward. I was not aware that there was also a acupuncturist in there.
Okay, so
would you prefer if we just get back and re-talk to them?
I think so. I think we'll remove that one, and they'll come back to, the team will come back to us on that. So, which letter of the alphabet is that one?
4.2.
Charles Street. Charles Street is... Charles Street is C. So if we have a mover and a seconder for everything bar C, happy to move that, Councillor Corbyn? Yes. Okay, so everything bar C, seconded Councillor Redstone. All those, any other further comments or questions?
Yes, Your Worship,
yes.
if I may. Can I propose that we change Charles Street to P60? Because it meets the requirements mostly of one business, and if it's wrong, it can come back next time. Yep. The way I read this, the P30 parking is only a small part. The new 3 P30s have been long-term parking?
Yes.
Like 2 hours or unlimited?
It's unlimited down there.
Yeah. So at the moment, the car parks are unlimited. So we would be reducing them to 1 hour, which will certainly encourage the turnover. Meet the expectations mostly of both businesses, and if we need to tweak it further, rather than leaving it all together, we bring it back next year. So
Moving second, are you comfortable with that?
Very happy with that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor O'Keefe? Oh,
I'm okay.
you're okay with that? All right, so we will include C, but we'll change that from P30 to P60. Happy with that? All right, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much, Mel.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Item number 16, adoption of engineering code of practice, page 117. Welcome to Mr. Thu.
Thank you, Worship and Councillors. Just before I kick into this paper, I'm like the last man standing as the writer. So I just do want to put thanks to Sarath, who has now formally retired from Hastings District Council, is now in Sri Lanka, I think out of lockdown or in lockdown because they're going through a few COVID issues there. Also Bruce Ferguson, who was acting on his behalf within the transport team, who health effects have meant that he's had to finish up a bit earlier. And particularly thank Rowan and Anna from the planning team who have worked with the assets team at bringing through not just assisting in the engineering code of practice elements, but the consequential effects into the district plan to give effect to it. Important to note, the review of this practice has gone through a number of stages over a period of time working with industry and stakeholders, and there are a number of recommendations which are pointed out, the theme of putting out in this report, where industry would like to see some further changes, and we will work with them beginning next year. So as part of the water funding that we got from government, the region has collectively agreed across the 5 councils to get an independent review to see if we can come up with one engineering code of practice across Hawke's Bay, which would be incredibly efficient, not only from the client side, but for all of those who has to work with every different council. So we will take a number of those suggestions through as part of that regional review. But at this point in time, this is largely an administrative process just to formalise the work that's done today. Happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Worship. Mr. Thu, do we need that as a recommendation to support your team to take it regionally?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. I'm happy to move the recommendations, Your
Thank you,
Worship.
Councillor Kerr. Councillor Sholem. Thank you. Any further questions? No? I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Summary recommendations for the District Planning and Bylaws Committee, page 123. Welcome, Ron. Is there anything you'd like to add to your report, Ron?
Through you, Your Worship. No, this first report is bringing forward a recommendation that engineering code of practice changes to the district plan be made operative. As Craig said, they've been through a public submission process through the RMA. We received no submissions on it, so it's a very straightforward making that one operative. And the next one on the agenda is in relation to the Marai plan change, which we have brought to the council before, and that is to provide for Marai, which dropped out through the plan review process because they were linked with places of assembly definition. So this is bringing back into play providing for Marai in the rural and plain zone, and this is going through the notification process and following the normal process through the RMA.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins, and Chair of Planning and Bylaws.
I'm happy to move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins, second. Councillor Sears. Any questions to Mr. Wallace? I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Item number 18, summary of recommendations of Strategy and Policy Committee held on the 19th of November. Welcome, Regan.
Through your worship, Smith hasn't quite managed to get here, so I can cover this off.
Okay.
The Strategy and Policy Committee, which is a full committee of council, went through a revised risk register and the updated enterprise risk management framework a few weeks ago. So this is just bringing that back to the table to be formally adopted by council. And we are noting that there was a request for some increased reporting on information technology risks and opportunities as we work through those, and we'll embed those through our Risk and Assurance Committee and our Operations and Monitoring Committee as required. So happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Worship. Very happy to move these recommendations, and thank you to the staff for ensuring that information technology risks reporting will be increased.
Thank you, Councillor Sholem. Councillor Sears. Okay, thank you. Any further questions, Mr. Allen? No, I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Summary recommendations on Rural Hall Subcommittee meeting held on the 30th of November, page 127. Would anyone from the Rural Community Board like to speak on this? Kev, do we have, yes. Councillor Kerr.
Just very pleased to move this. You'll note there's two large grants, one for Tutera and one for Twyford. Tutera is a well-used rural community hall, and this is the beginning of the earthquake strengthening. And Twyford also is a very well-used hall. Twyford missed out on the government grants, and it's been absolutely delightful that their application fitted within our funding model. So happy to move.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. I have a second. Councillor Redstone. Any further comments? Thank you. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Page 129. And this is the Tangata Whenua appointment to the Wastewater Joint Committee. I think James is not here, Mr. Graham, but this is just a new member, well, not just, but this is a new member for the Tangata Whenua Wastewater Committee. Councillor Watkins moved, Councillor Lawson second. No, any questions to anyone?
Yeah.
Oh, Councillor Travis.
Could we also, we've had two meetings where the meetings lapsed for want of a quorum, one on the councillor side and then the other on the Tangata Whenua side. So we decided to bring this straight to committee rather than going through straight to council rather than going through the committee, because it was like a chicken and egg situation. But we could also do with an alternate councillor member so that we can make sure that we get a quorum for these meetings.
Thank you. Councillor Travis, are you putting your hand up to be...
Yes, I was in the last triennium. I was on that committee.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm very happy to be there again.
Thank you so much, Councillor Travis. Well, you're a superstar. Awesome. Okay, so we've got A, B, C all signed off. Happy to move from the chair. Have a seconder for that. Councillor Sears. Any questions? All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Now we have the exemption of council-controlled status for the Hastings District Holdings Limited and Hastings District Properties, page 133.
Your Worship, I declare a conflict.
Thank you. Mr. Allen.
Through your worship, this is really just an administrative matter. Both these companies, these subsidiaries of council, have been exempted from being a council-controlled organisation in the past, and because of the COVID situation, we sort of missed refreshing that. So this is really just to get that back in place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Corbyn.
Yes, I'd like to ask, what does exemption mean and what is the benefit of exemption?
Through your worship. So it's under the Local Government Act, a council-controlled organisation is any entity where council has control over its activities, and that could be, if it's a company, it could be through a shareholding or a majority of directors around the board, and certainly within a trust situation. A trust can be a council-controlled organisation as well, where a council or more than one council appoints more than half of the trustees, and we have that situation for the Museums Trust. What exempting the council-controlled status means is that these companies for these two companies, they're both inactive. It means they don't have to have an annual report that's audited and presented to council. They don't need to present a half-year report, and they don't need to prepare a statement of intent. That's really the crux of it. It's more of exempting those entities from reporting to council on those matters.
Councillor Corbyn, you comfortable with that? I have a mover, please. Councillor Lawson, seconder. Councillor Barber. No further questions. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Moving on to the Clifton Tongoyo Coastal Hazard Strategy Joint Committee, page 135. Would any of our councillor representatives wish to speak to that meeting and those minutes? Anyone like to add anything to the minutes?
Just Your Worship, nothing to add, but I'm surprised there wasn't a report from our 27th of November meeting. This is way back in August.
Right, okay, so we need to bring both of them through.
Your Worship, those minutes, of course, would just be draft.
Yes.
And that would probably be the process by which they haven't got to us.
Okay, cool. Mr. Thu, did you want to add anything? I see Mark is not here. In progress.
Through your worship, I'm not directly involved in that process,
Oh, you're not?
so I'm not able to add more than your councillors.
So it's just Mr. Close?
And Mr. Allen, who's on the phone.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dixon, seconded Councillor Redstone. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you. Any against? That's carried. Right, moving on now back to the Chief Executive update. Mr. Chief, you're in the hot seat.
Yeah. Okay, look,
Page 53.
I'll take the report as read. There's just a couple of things that
I really wanted to highlight. And obviously we've heard from Art and Hiratonga this afternoon, and as we know, a really important part of our COVID recovery strategy was our arts recovery strategy, and it's been fantastic to have the presentation on the Arts Festival, but also see a whole lot of the other things that we've been doing as part of our arts recovery strategy in full force. So obviously everyone that's been involved in the community, thank you's been over in functions on Hastings, seeing just the fantastic Santa's Grotto and functions on Hastings. Thousands of our community have been through there, from school groups to community groups. We've celebrated last week with the Taste of Hastings our award in terms of the Supreme Keep New Zealand Beautiful Award. I do want to record and acknowledge Megan Coyle-Peacock's National Award as Event Manager of the Year, which I think is testament to both Megan but also our commitment and our team at Toi Toi to support the arts through what has been a really challenging year. And also, just in terms of last week's Taste of Hastings event, which was, I thought, a really great community celebration of, particularly a lot of the multi-year work that's been going on around the Hastings CBD strategy. And to see certainly one side, Craig, of Queen Street streetscape upgrade be completed, the opening of Brave Brewery, which is the first stage of the Tribune development, to look across the road and see the public trust building that's been vacant for quite a long time, having been leased, and new hospitality businesses coming there. So a real sense that for all of the challenges of COVID, some of the opportunities that we've embraced, we're getting real momentum and traction. I would draw your attention to one of the things that I know has been important to this council in terms of positioning Hastings on the national stage, the 2021 Insider's Guide to New Zealand, a 30-page spread on Hastings, and a fantastic spread that really showcased both our people and our place across all of the dimensions of Hastings. And also the very new publication called Scout that had a fantastic eight-page spread on Hastings called All Stings Bright and Beautiful, which, again is...
Can I just point out that you've got them on your desk, have you? They are your Christmas presents. You're supposed to get them on the 15th. They're your Christmas presents. Sorry.
But, fantastic to see. Fantastic to see, the sort of profile of Hastings. The last thing I want to touch on is this week marks the 1-year anniversary of ministers turning up to Waipatu Marae and announcing the Hastings place-based housing program. And you'll see later in the week we've been doing a lot of work in terms of promoting all of the things that have been done across all of those elements, from Papakainga housing, public housing, healthy homes initiatives, because it has been a real collaborative effort across multiple partners, our iwi partners, our government agency partners, and the community. I'm very thankful to our chairs of strategy and policy in great communities, Councillor Barber and Councillor Lawson, that took part recently in a big housing hui that is starting to develop the year 3 to 5 of the Hastings housing strategy that will come back to council. I think we acknowledge that the housing market, as Councillor Travers raised this morning, is under real stress, and that's really having impacts on our community. And I acknowledge your comments this morning, Councillor Uli, about the impact that it's having on whānau. But I wanted to share that, whilst that is what's playing out in our community, that we have made significant progress over the last year. Many of you have attended as whānau have moved into public homes. We've been out to the opening of Papakainga housing recently at Waiheke. And I just wanted to share, because this is the why we do this. There is a series of videos that I will send to all of you where we've been capturing the stories of what the Hastings housing programs meant at a very individual level for whānau. You'll recall, as part of the Hastings Housing Plan, one of the initiatives was a joint initiative between Te Puni Kōkiri and the District Health Board to invest in essential repairs for homes where whānau where there are a lot of health impacts as a result of the housing standards. And so this is just a short video about one of the whānau that we work with around the Hastings Housing Repairs program.
My mum and dad built this house in 1960 and we've been here ever since. The house has been through a lot because there was 11 of us growing up in it, you know, and now me and Kerry have 11 kids, so there's another 11.
For our poor whānau, some of the repairs have just gone beyond their ability to do something about it financially. So they do their best, but they do need some help.
This is our bathroom. Beautiful, beautiful. It's like standing under the sun. And it's a beautiful pressure, like the last one was like a water blaster. It never had a restrictor on it. This one's got a water pressure restrictor on it, I think. That's why. It's like tropical, you know? Really nice. Yeah, it's just awesome.
Right back when I was working with them 8 years ago, they had huge issues with their bathroom, with mould, with rot.
With the toothbrushes and that, you know, it was not good because the rottenness, the mould around here, we had nowhere really to store them where it's nice and clean, you know. And now look at that.
They've got 11 children, and over the years they've had a huge amount of Group A strep results, which left untreated can cause rheumatic fever.
I think everything that's happened here will be way healthier for us, you know, because we've got problems with the diabetes, heart problems, back problems, kids are getting sick all the time, but I reckon we'll be right now, way better. Yeah, I just can't believe it. I'm still taking it all in, where everything is.
I tini hoki te kihini, kia tae rātou te tunu i ngā kai hauora, me ngā kai pai o te whānau.
Welcome to my new kitchen. It's beautiful. Got it all in. Yeah, last night we just put the pantry in, cupboards we already in, and just put the stove in this morning. And yeah, there's a cupboard behind you, it's going up on the wall. And yeah, and I haven't cooked yet, so I can't wait to cook. For everyone. Boil up first. Yep. Even got a big pantry. Look, I'll even show you in there. Look how nice that looks.
He pai tēnā tīnihanga, tērā momo mahi ki au, kia aki o mātou nei whānau, kia hauora ake ai tātou, kia hauora ake ai te oranga.
What something to us can be a quick renovation, to them can just mean it's just life-changing, and for us that's super rewarding. We walk away just feeling so chuffed.
This would never happen if it wasn't like Mal, DHB and Monique and them. You know, if we didn't know anything, we wouldn't have got any help. And I praise up Henari and his crew because they're awesome. Yep, everyone be hounding me now. Can you make this? Can you cook that? Yeah, but no, I'm wrapped. Just so thankful that we could have this opportunity to get all this.
Yep, and everyone loves it too, you know, all the whānau. It's just a big difference to have something really decent, you know. Really decent and like a motel, you know.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lawson.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Look, I just wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge the work of the staff, particularly in the area of housing. As Nigel said earlier, Councillor Barber and I attended a housing hui, and what came home to me was it was really complex and there were really many moving parts, and so I just wanted to acknowledge that work. And also, during the recovery progress that's been made, the response by the staff and the response strategies as well as recovery strategies were just, it was outstanding and amazing. So I just wanted to acknowledge that work.
Thank you. Any other comments? Well, thank you very much for your report. Happy to move from the chair. Have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Dixon. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Right, adoption of the annual report and summary. Mr. Allen, page 57, and a very large attachment, very, very large attachment that risk and audit went through yesterday. And when we thank staff, my goodness me, what a year it has been to try and get this through audit, to try and get this work completed, and enormous thanks to the staff for this incredible report. This is a year like no other, and it's been made incredibly hard. So thank you to your team and yourself, Mr. Allen. Any questions on the annual report? I mean, this sort of report highlights our year, highlights all the hard work, highlights how we've managed to deliver, highlights the importance of us delivering on our priorities for our community.
Through your worship, I think probably just a couple of things I wouldn't mind highlighting for you. So yes, our risk and assurance committee had a bit of a deeper dive on the annual report yesterday. We challenged them to make sure that they'd read the whole document. There was, I think, one of the things we just want to sort of highlight for you is around, and one of the reasons I've been ducking in and out of this meeting has been getting this report and getting audit approval has only come through in the last 5 minutes, so it's been quite a process. One of the things that I think we just need to highlight for you is that we do have an unmodified audit opinion, and that's the audited on the information that they've audited. It includes financial statements within the annual report itself. That effectively means that they're satisfied that the financial statements fairly reflects Council's activities for the year that we've just had. They have, however, qualified their opinion on our activity groups, which on a small matter, which is a DIA mandatory non-financial reporting issue, which is around the capture of complaints regarding to our three waters and how we've done that. There's a large number of councils will be in the same boat with this. It's not something that they've ever checked on before, and what they've found is that most councils actually haven't been capturing the information as the DIA regulations have stipulated that we should be. And really that's just about, when we receive a complaint or a notification of an issue within our Three Waters network, that is captured, and a job is logged with our contractors to go and remedy that issue. What we haven't been capturing is any subsequent calls that come in after that, and quite often the call is along the lines of, yes, we're aware of that, would you like that captured and recorded? And generally the ratepayer is saying, no, we're fine, as long as it's being dealt with, we're happy. So that's sort of along the lines of why we haven't captured it. There's quite a bit of work we need to work through with our systems to understand how we can do that without logging a job every single time we get a phone call on an issue, because we don't want to do that either, because our contractor will be displeased. But we will work our way through that and see if we can meet the DIA's measures in this instance, which probably aren't written as well as they could be, and our feedback back to the DIA is along those lines. So hopefully we can get some sort of amendment before the next reporting season. One other thing I'd just like to add, and we've added it to the recommendations, is along the lines of around a letter of representation that audit require of the Chief Executive and the Mayor, and that representation is a 5 or 6 page letter that goes into a whole lot of issues around, confirming for audit that they've been audited and told of everything that they need to be told of, and all their queries have been answered, and we've disclosed all the information as we should. Very difficult for the Mayor and Chief Executive to sign off on that, so what is good practice and what Mr Wilson and I have done for a number of years is provide a back-to-back letter of representation to the Chief Executive and the Mayor, answering those exact same questions, so that representation can be made. It is also good practice that Council resolve to delegate that authority to the Mayor and Chief Executive to sign that letter. So we've added that in as a recommendation D. Can we just quickly put up that presentation, Lynn? Like the Chief Executive and the Mayor mentioned, 2020 has been, or 2019 and particularly 2020, has been a year of challenges and achievements. And I think you would have all received, if not by now, very soon, the latest My Hastings, and in there is a 2-page spread of the key achievements and challenges that we've had to face throughout the year. The annual report picks up on a number of those, but it's actually, when you adopt the annual report, it's actually a nice time to actually stop and reflect on a lot of those highlights and challenges that we've faced over the year. One of which has actually been just trying to get the damn annual report adopted and signed off in the first place. But we know Audit New Zealand have been under immense pressure in doing that. So as you're becoming familiar as we work our way through and in line with our long-term plan, we do have our 6 sort of pillars within our long-term plan. We almost have a 7th one now called COVID-19. But the first one around our environment, significant investment in our drinking water. Major milestones with the installation of the community water treatment facility at Hamawana, which I guess has come in sort of this financial year, but started sometime before. Works underway at Frimley, and good progress being made on the design and consenting of Waiaraha. In the 3 water space, Council secured $15.36 million. Mr. Thu always reminds me it's 0.36 of the Crown's funding for that, and more recently we've had that approved and how that can be spent. Coastal erosion continues to be something that we're working on throughout the region. The joint coastal hazards strategy continues to progress, although not as fast as many would like. And we've had our own achievements in that space with upgrades to the Waimarama seawall and progress around project design and consenting for the Cape View corner as well. The solid waste area was a major piece of work for a number of officers in the organisation, not only the solid waste team, but the impact that flowed through from that into our customer services team, as well as we sort of made a significant transition with our curbside recycling and our rubbish services as they were rolled out. The COVID lockdown didn't help with that as well. Obviously, Hastings reigns supreme with the Keep New Zealand Beautiful Awards, and lots been said about that. And whilst there's been a lot said and a lot of thought given to the impacts of COVID, here in Hastings and Hawke's Bay, the drought certainly had a significant impact on our farming community as well. And we had our own drought response with that, with $200,000 allocated out of the Rural Rating Area 2 Emergency Reserve Emergency Fund to support that initiative. In our moving around space, obviously quite a big investment in road safety. Our bridge strengthening program continues with the good work from Anu. And I think that's really, it's one of those examples where this organisation is leading the way in the country around upgrading its bridges throughout the district. COVID-19 certainly had an impact on the roading program. The guys and girls in the roading team do a fantastic job of delivering the program year in, year out, and probably for the first time in many years didn't quite manage to get there this year, particularly around the rural resealing. But that's we have 5 weeks out of the program that did have an impact. Within our economy, jobs for here Tonga, that sort of links up to the sort of the moving around space as well. But with the $9.3 million in government funding to undertake shovel-ready infrastructure projects. You know, a large piece of work around creating jobs for Heretatonga and how that evolved. The innovating and the future with Food East continued throughout the year, and that is now in good shape. And fingers crossed, with everything coming together, will be a facility that we're due to open in April 2022. Council's done a lot of work supporting our industrial growth areas. You know, there's a lot of years of work with particularly Irongate and the Mahu. And the delivery of infrastructure into those areas has continued during the year. The municipal building revitalisation, Council signed off on another $5.5 million of funding to complete that project. And that is now in the final stages of building consent approval as we work our way forward, that final stage, and looking for that to be opened and complete in the early part of 2022 as well. Now, lots of development going on within our CBD, and really grateful to a number of developers for what they're doing, particularly things like the Tribune building redevelopment and the Quest Hotel, and getting that across the line and getting that underway with the blessing of that site as recently as yesterday. And then more recently, you know, the utilisation of the COVID recovery fund that Council set aside as we rebalanced the budgets in lockdown, created a fund to support COVID recovery initiatives, and part of that was around creation of a business hub, an extension of the Hawke's Bay business hub network. So where we live, I won't delve too much into this. Mr. Bickles already covered this off, but a lot of work around in the Hastings place-based approach, which is now really starting to deliver some results, along with our own developments in Flaxmere, with the good work going on at Tarbert Street, and hopefully seeing some houses starting to be built in the new year. Toi Toi opened on the 29th of February. It was an amazing occasion. We closed it 3 weeks later with COVID, and it's been a heck of a year for the team as they've sort of bounced in and out of COVID restrictions. But it's going, you know, what we're seeing now with the great team on board is some great results and great utilisation of that facility. The municipal building will only add to that when it's opened up eventually. Lots of investment in public art installations, lots of initiatives within our CBD. You know, the east side is humming, and we saw that last week as well, and Flaxmere Park, you know, was judged the best. And we opened the Ebert Park after a significant amount of investment in that space as well. Youth potential, now in its 14th year, the Youth Potential Awards recognise 10 young people who have shown diligence and resilience in the face of adversity. Council received a further investment from the government to invest in our youth, recognition of the good work that's going on in that space and continuing that forward. And for more than 30 years, Council has been honouring those who have made significant contributions to the Hastings community through the Civic Honours Awards. And an overview of the year wouldn't be complete without something about COVID-19 and the recovery. A number of initiatives there that have continued on, and some good successes that we've had in getting shovel-ready funding. You know, some good funding for our rural halls, a great initiative for our marae. And, you know, the Arts Festival, as we heard about earlier, you know, basically the biggest and best arts festival in the country this year. So I'm happy to take questions.
Can I just acknowledge a wonderful presentation of the year, Bruce? I think that your summary of what we've been through your PowerPoint is fantastic and quite extraordinary to think of the reflection on the challenges and also the opportunities that we've faced as a council. Thank you for a wonderful report. Councillor Redstone.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mine's not a question, it's a comment. I was going to say on behalf of the Cape Coast community, we'd like to thank Council because First of all, we've nearly got our consent through on the East Road corner. Tow rocks are in at Clifton. H18's under investigation. I believe Mr Hanson's been down to Christchurch to have a look at the modular walling down there, and looks very likely. Our water, finally, is clear, thank the gods. And I'd also like to say that my Hastings, I think, was the best one I've ever seen. And I've put it aside because it was just beautifully done. And yeah, thank you for that as well.
Well, can we pass that on, please, to My Hastings author, Naomi, to Nikki, thank you. It's the best one Councillor Redstone's ever seen, so thank you. Best one, yeah, best one, yeah. Councillor Barber.
Yeah, kia ora tātou. It's good to be able to stand here in December and have a presentation on what's been achieved in the last 12 months. So kia ora, Nigel, Bruce and all the staff and all the councils really for what has been achieved. In Māoridom there's a saying, I've got lots of sayings, but me huri whakamuri ki anga whakamua, which is saying that we should turn back and have a look at what's been achieved so that you can kind of blaze a path forward. And for me, going to the little East Hastings little thing that we had there on the street there last week, you know, you could just feel the vibe has changed. Walk up the street, you're looking down, oh gee, I didn't know that shop was there, or that little cafe was there. And so, you know, things are looking really bright for Hastings, I have to say. Heading out to Frimley to see the big water storage and, you know, the size of the infrastructure and the mahi that's going on. You know, we're doing some pretty good things here in Hastings. So, yeah, just really acknowledgement to everyone in the room for their contributions to making Hastings an awesome place to be. It's been a lot of work, and yeah, you know, I mean, we have some hard kaupapa that we have to deal with and make decisions on, but you know, there's always an opportunity to celebrate. And then annual plans, for me, an annual plan is an opportunity to do that. I know there's a lot of hard work in Hoha, and there's the audit, DIA audits and whatnot, but to look through that plan and see some of the contributions and changes, I think that's been really exciting. So we hana kia tātou huri no te whare, tēnā koutou, tēnā huri tātou. Kia ora.
Any other comments? Well, thank you to everybody. Councillor Nixon, move it. Councillor Travis, second. Councillor Barber, did you want to say anything else?
Sorry. No.
Okay, no. As Councillor Barber so eloquently said, it is, that annual report is, it's incredible really, and we'll never forget 2020. And when you look at your presentation today and you see the size of that report, it's totally amazing actually, and we're very grateful for everybody's wonderful work. So I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. So now, just a direction from you, Bruce, in terms of the airport report. The question really is, do we want to do this now, or do we leave that item lying on the table until the airport team board and C can come in? Yes, okay. Would you, Councillor Nixon?
I just want to suggest that we do leave it on the table,
okay,
because I think without the board you can't have a meaningful
cool.
conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. Happy to move. You're moving that?
Yep.
I have a seconder, please, to leave the report on the table. Councillor Sholem. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried, and we arrange that for when we're back in the new year. Right, now we move back to PX, and I'm happy to move from the chair that we return to public excluded part, seconded by Councillor Sholem. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Do you want to